Good morning. I am Mrs. Aradhna Rana, founder principal of the Icon Public School, Ahmednagar. Today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, priority management. It's a topic which is important to all of us, no matter what walk of life we come from. Unless we have our priorities right, nothing works out in life. So before we start, let's do a little activity. If you made any of these statements sometime or the other in your life, just say yes. I don't have the time. If I had more time, I could have done wonders. Sorry, I'll take care not to be late again. I'll surely complete it by tomorrow. I stayed up all night to complete it. You've seen how hard I work. Nobody seems to appreciate me. Now, most of us have said one of these statements sometime or the other. If you said even 1, 2 or 3 of these statements, you are in the right forum. This is for you. And if you haven't said yes to any of these statements, I think you're doing perfectly fine and you don't need a workshop on this. But generally, by and large, most of us have said this sometime or the other. So before we start on the workshop, let's watch a short video together. Now in this video, he has a jar, a glass jar, and he has 3 boxes. One box is full of sand which is pouring into the jar, and he empties out that box. The second box has some pebbles, and the third box has big stones. So after he's emptied out the box which had the sand, he's now putting in the pebbles. And then he comes to the third box and he places the big stones in the jar. Now you see, as he does so, he's trying to fill in the maximum number of stones he can put, but at the end of it the jar gets full and he still has some stones left over. So now he goes to the second part of the experiment. In this he alters the sequence. He puts in the big stones first. Now after he's emptied out the box, he's put all the stones, then he puts the pebbles. Now you see the box which had the stones is empty and he puts the pebbles. After he's emptied out the box which had the pebbles, now he pours in all the sand. Now if you notice, the sand occupies the little place that is left in between the stones, and he's able to pour out all the sand into the jar, and the jar still has some space left. Now what we saw in this video, I'm sure you got the drift. The big stones are the most important things in your life, without which your life is quite meaningless. The pebbles are the important things, but life does carry on without them. The sand is the trivia in your life, the non-essentials. You want to have them in your life because these things are interesting. They'll make your life colorful, interesting. But if you pour them first in your life, if you put them on first priority, what gets left behind is the big stones, the most important things. So that's the message of the video, and this is what we are going to talk about and analyze what are our priorities in life and what should you do to prioritize your life. Now these are some of the things which are the values or things which are there in our life. Let's sift them out into rocks, pebbles and sand, and I'll call out each value or each thing that you have in your life. You have to decide whether it's a rock in your life, whether it's a pebble in your life, or whether it's sand. So owning a house, friendships, career, family, health, financial security, watching TV, hobbies, social media, travel, gossip, socializing, your job, education. So, could you identify what are the most important things in your life, what are a little less important, and what is trivial in your life? Now, let's see how these priorities shape up in our lives. Now, in general, the rocks, the most important things in our life, they are health, family, career, education, financial security. Very difficult to, carry on a good life without these. The pebbles which are important, but even if you don't have them, life does carry on. It may not be great. These are job, owning a house, hobbies, friendships, travel. The sand, the non-essentials in your life, the sand is social media, gossip, TV, socializing. So you see, that's very interesting in your life. But in life, it's not very important. They're non-essentials. Now, these are generally how we place priorities. It may not be yours. Everybody's got their own priorities in life. Some things which may be important to me may not be important to you. So, you have to decide your priorities. What do our priorities depend upon? To know your priorities, ask yourselves 3 questions. What are your basic values in life? What you treasure most? What are your goals in life? And what are your responsibilities in life? Now, each one of us may have different values as far as priorities is concerned. Somebody might value career at the topmost. Somebody might value family life. Somebody might value health. Now, what you do in your life depends on what you value most. A person who values career, he will make sure that he spends a lot of time, effort, dedication on his job. A person who values family, he'll spend a lot of time with his parents, wife, children. A person who values health will take care that he has good food, he exercises a lot. So it depends on what you place your priorities on. Now, it also depends on what is your goal. Sometimes people have different goals and they choose different priorities. That is where things go wrong. Now, suppose a student has a goal that he wants to become a doctor or an engineer, and then his priorities in life become the sand, watching TV, social media, going out with friends. Does it work? No. He has to put his actions or priorities according to the goals. Either his goal is such that his priorities become sand. He doesn't have a goal like that where you have to achieve in life. It's okay. Then he might, spend his time doing these things. But that's what we tell the students, that set your priorities right. Whatever you do, if your goal does not match or your priorities do not match your goals, you're bound to be unhappy in your life. Now, a person may set his first priority as his hobby, might be passionate about his hobby. But if he has a lot of responsibilities, the first priority of hobby comes down. From rocks, it becomes pebbles. Rock becomes achieving something of financial security. So depends on what your responsibilities are. Your goals might differ and then your priorities might differ. Now, most of the times we cannot identify our priorities. So let's do a little fun poll, and most of you have been on social media. You take part in these fun quizzes where you choose a color and then Facebook tells you what is your personality type. So something like that. Let's see, what is your priority in life and what you choose. A little bit of psychoanalysis. So I'm going to give you 5 or 6 actions which you will do. They occur simultaneously, and you have to choose one out of them which you will do first. So let's get on with a little fun poll. Now, at one particular time, these 5 things are happening simultaneously. So which is the one you will address first? What will you do first? On one side, your baby is crying. Second, your clothes are hanging outside and it started to rain and you have to wear those clothes, today, maybe half an hour later. So it's very important. The water is running from the tap in the kitchen, so it might get flooded and it might lead to a lot of mess. You may have to clean it up. So again, a very high priority. Then the doorbell is ringing, you're expecting a friend and you don't want to keep the friend waiting, so that's also high priority. And then the phone is ringing, so that is high priority for most of us. So these 5 actions are taking place simultaneously. Which one would you address first? Now be honest, think and choose just one. Okay, now let's analyze a little bit of psychoanalysis. Remember, it's just a fun poll. There is no scientific logic to it. But if you attended the baby first, that means your priority in life is family. If you ran to pick up the clothes first, it means your first priority is your physical self. If you ran to switch off the tap first in the kitchen, that means subconsciously your first priority is accumulating wealth. Then if you ran to see who's at the door first, your first priority is friendship. And you went to answer the phone first, your first priority is your job or career. Now this is not really very scientific or anything, but by and large it tells you what are your priorities in life. So you have to identify your priorities and be sure, okay, this is what I want from life. Now once you've decided your priorities, why do we make this kind of statement like most of us do, I just don't get time or I don't have the time. Now if you see, everybody in this world gets 24 hours to do whatever they have to do. Yet people are not equal. Some are much more successful than the others. Whether it is a huge administrator, a politician, a great leader, or you, I, or that person on the street, everybody's got the same 24 hours. It is what you put in the 24 hours that decides your life. Why is it that somebody can run a country in those 24 hours and we make a statement like, I just don't get the time? Where does the time go? So you'll ask, are you talking to us about priority management or time management? You see, time management is a part of priority management. Now what comes first? Should you manage your time first or should you manage your priority first? Now suppose you have a ladder and you place it against a wrong wall. You will reach up fast but to a wrong place. So managing time is important. But if you manage time first and you don't know the destination, you might reach a wrong destination. So it's very important to know your priorities first and then allocate time according to the priorities. Now a very famous management guru has made this statement. The key is not to prioritize what is in your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. So first make your priorities and then schedule them into those 24 hours that you have. So priority management comes before time management. It's very important to make time management a habit. Now if you notice in your life, 80% of your tasks get actually completed in 20% of the time allocated. The rest of the 80% of the time is taken up by the 20% of your task. Now to give you an example, on Sundays you get up late. Why do you get up late? Because you will keep sleeping till you think of something that you have to do. So we continue in an action that we like to do till we have something that we have to do. Now whether it is sleeping late on a Sunday or watching TV. Now if you're watching TV, you'll keep watching TV till you have to do something else or you have to go to sleep. Our need to priorities do not take up any of our time unless we place them in the have to categories. Like, you need to eat healthy, you need to go towards your goals or do something. So these need to priorities, if you need to eat healthy, unless you put it in the have to category, they will not take place in your life. As a teacher, you need to read, you need to keep yourself well informed, you need to do creative activities. Now these need to, unless they come to have to, they will never get done. You will keep doing things that you're doing till you find something you have to do. So to find time for them, to schedule them in your time, make them a priority, make them into have to things, and that is where it will work for you. There is this Parkinson's law of time management. It says work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Now this you must have noticed in your life also. If you have to submit an assignment, say on the 20th of March, now you're told on in February that you have to submit this assignment on the 20th of March, but you will not even think of it till March comes. Once 1st of March comes, you'll start thinking of it, and actually you will start doing it on the 16th or 18th of March, depending on how important or how much time it's going to take. And then on the 19th of March, you will sit till midnight, early morning, complete it to submit it on the 20th. So this work, which was given to you with a time frame of 2 months, it has filled in the time and gets done only in the end. So this is the Parkinson's law of time management. What does it teach us? That the time we give ourselves to fill in our work should be such that work gets done efficiently. Now some things, just tell me, how many of you have experienced this? You were supposed to submit your question papers on Monday morning. You sat on Sunday night at midnight and finished it at 3 in the morning. Then you have told yourself, I could have done it much better if I had more time. You had a wedding to attend in March and you had 6 months to lose weight, but you went on a crash diet in February. I'm sure incidences like this have happened to most of us at some time or the other. So the moral of the story is, give yourself very little time. Set your goal deadlines very close to the task. And then this will make you a smart worker. You don't have to be a hard worker. You have to be a smart worker, an efficient worker. What is efficiency? Efficiency is input should be much less than the output. If you are the kinds who says, oh, I work so hard but nobody appreciates me, think, introspect on your efficiency. What is your input? What is your output? This idea of seeming busy, it gives you a very false sense of accomplishment. You feel that you've done a lot, but actually the product that you've produced after these long hours of work, is it commensurate to the effort that you put in? Also, when you start working last minute, the quality of your work is substandard. So you'll never get appreciated for the work, and then it leads to low self-esteem. That is where you feel, oh, I worked so hard and nobody appreciated me. So how do you become a smart worker? To become a smart worker, create your own personal deadlines. No matter what deadline you're given, create shorter deadlines so that you become efficient in your work. What will happen is that either you will finish the task much before the actual deadline. So that means you have more time to fill in your life with more pleasurable activities, your hobbies, or even the sand, which you find very attractive. If you finish your time early and you've gone wrong, you have enough time to go back and rectify some faults, which means the quality of your work will definitely be much better than what it was earlier. Secondly, work on the hardest and most important or pressing tasks first. so that you get that sense of accomplishment that you've done whatever was supposed to be done. You can fill in with the details later. Also, if you do go wrong, you have time to rectify the faults. Third, very important is to divide and share your work. Teamwork always yields much better results than individual work. In your individual work, you are looking at very linear kind of results, whereas in a teamwork, the results multiply. So the quality of your product is much better. Fourth, which a lot of us don't do, is to delegate. We somehow feel the world rests on our shoulders. It doesn't. We must delegate some tasks so that we can be effective in doing the important tasks ourselves and better. Then use a lot of technology. A lot of us have mental blocks. We do not want to learn new things because we think it's a waste of time or it will take up too much time. But the time you save after you learnt good technology is 10 times more than the time you spend in learning that technology. And always aim at the output. Ask yourself, what have I produced at the end of the day? What is my achievement? Not how many hours I've spent at the table. This goes for students also. Some students sit on the table for hours, but they don't do well. There are some who will sit for say a couple of hours and achieve a lot. So these are the result oriented people who are smart workers. Now we have talked of prioritizing in general and bigger things, but day-to-day tasks, how do you prioritize? There is this Eisenhower's priority principle which works very well for most of us, and this talks about categorizing the tasks that you have, day-to-day tasks that you have, into 4 categories. The first one is urgent and important. It may be a crisis, it may be meeting deadlines, so you have to identify these tasks, you have to do them now. Then there are the urgent and not important. It may be required to be done now, but they're not important in your scheme of things. It may be very important to somebody else. Or it may be things which need to be done, like paying bills or tax returns, these kind of things, or certain meetings. They need to be done now, but they're not very important to the goals of your life. These are typically the tasks you can delegate. Think of people who can do them better. Then there are tasks which are not urgent but important. The basic family values, the basic values in life, family values, or your goals of financial security. Today you don't have to do them today, but they're very important things. So these you can never lose sight of. You have to schedule them in your time. And then there are not urgent and not important. So these you can eliminate from your life or fill them up if you have time left over from the other 3 categories. Now these are 4 categories, but they're not watertight compartments. Tasks shift from one to another depending on the time frame. I'll give you an example. Now suppose you had to submit the question paper for half-yearly exams into your principal, and you had to submit it on the 15th of October. Now you know that every year half-yearlies happen around that time and you have to give the question paper. Yet you are told by September that 15th October is the deadline to submit your question papers. Now at that time it's not urgent, but it's an important task. Then as time goes, you get busy with taking class tests, finishing the syllabus, and when class tests are taken, you have a lot of corrections. So this task, it just keeps getting postponed. And before you realize, it's 13th of October. Now on 13th of October, it has shifted from non-urgent to urgent and important. Now at that time when you sit and do it, there are many other tasks which are also urgent and important. And that is where the problem occurs. When we have too many tasks in this category of urgent and important, efficiency goes down. This is where our output reduces. So we should take care that we take care of these non-urgent tasks at a time before it becomes urgent. So this is how tasks shift from one compartment to another. Now we've talked a lot about prioritizing, but after you've prioritized, you have to organize your life such that the priorities are in the right time frame. So that is organization. We've just talked about time management. Then the third one is streamlining. Identify the importance of the task to your goal. What is streamlining? Now, if a student hates to study maths and he does not, put it in the right time frame, his goal is to become an engineer. So whether he likes to study it or not, he has to study it. So this is streamlining your goals to your tasks. Now what is economizing? Economizing is cutting out all the irrelevant from your life. Things which do not fit into your goal-oriented path. You have to trim them down. So economize on the tasks that do not fit into your goal time frame. And the last is contribute. Contribute to social tasks or whatever tasks you have put in. The actual doing of tasks is contributing. So the acronym has been given as the POSEC method: prioritize, organize, streamline, economize, and then contribute. So to remember, it's a little easy. Whenever you have these issues in your life, remember the POSEC method. Now in general we have talked about prioritizing, and let us now shift it to a typical day in a teacher's life, and let's take a case study of a teacher who's very efficient and she thinks she's managing the time very well, but she's always falling short and she's always running against time. So let us see, she attended a time management workshop like this, and then she decided, okay, no, I must make a to-do list. I must get more organized in life. So let us analyze what her to-do list is. How does it work out in her life? What she could have done, what she did wrong, what she did right, what she could have done, and how you can prioritize things in your life. So one evening, Mrs. Murthy decides to make a to-do list. So let's read her to-do list and see what all she's put in the to-do list. In the morning she has to get up, she makes breakfast. Then she checks her son's homework before he leaves for school. He should have completed it. So the to-do list has checked the son's homework. Then she has to pack lunch for her family. So she has to make lunch and pack lunch. So this is before she leaves for school herself. Then she goes to school. In school, she has planned to do corrections in her free period. She's got a couple of free periods. So she thinks she'll do her corrections which were piling up. Then she's supposed to take a test. So bring back test notebooks home for correction. Then when she comes back home, she has to prepare the question paper for midterm. So she decides that she'll put it in tomorrow's to-do list. She must make the question paper tomorrow before it becomes urgent. Then she has to prepare a PPT for her next class. So that is urgent. She has to prepare a PPT for the next class. The next day she has to go to class. And in the evening she'll help her son do his homework and then make dinner. So these are the priorities in her life, and while she's making the to-do list, her son comes running and says, Mama, I have to submit a project and for that I need some stationery items. So can you get those for me? So she adds one more, go to the market to get stationery items for her son's project. Now let's see, tomorrow comes, she wakes up, what happens in her life? Next day she makes breakfast. So first thing is done. Then she calls her son and to check his homework, and she realizes, oh, he's not completed his homework. So that is very, very urgent. So she sits with her son. Now it's no time to tell him, okay, complete your homework because he's getting late. So she has to sit with him and she makes him do his homework. She loses a bit of time. She rushes to the kitchen, and then when she has to make lunch, she realizes, oh, no bread in the house. Then she has to plan. She needs the dough. She makes rotis. She makes sabzis. So obviously some more time taken, and by the time she packs lunch for the family, it's late. The son has missed his bus. So she drops the son to school. When she goes to drop the son to school, in the whole process she gets late, and she reaches the school late. In a fluster she goes to school. Principal looks at her and she's late, but She doesn't say anything. She overlooks the fact. She is relieved that the principal has not ticked her off. Now in school what happens? She takes the test, and then when a free period comes, the principal calls her to the office. So she goes to the office. She's very apprehensive. She had come late to the school, but no, the principal's not touching on that topic. The principal tells her, why don't you write a script for a play that is to be staged for the annual function next month? She's so relieved that the principal's not ticking her off. She says, yes, surely ma'am, and she takes on that task. Now by the time she discusses all this and comes back, her free period is over. So she could not do the correction she had planned in the free period. Her test notebooks have also piled up. So after that, one class after another, and it's time to go home. So after school, she rushes to the market, and she goes to the stationery shop, buys the stationery requirement for her son, and then she realizes, okay, I've come all the way to the market, let me buy some groceries also. So which is good, it will save her some time for next week. So she buys the groceries, and by the time she comes home, it's quite late. Now she has very little time, but she is so obliged to the principal that the principal did not say anything for her coming late, that she wants to please the principal. So immediately she starts writing the script, or at least she thinks she'll make an outline, so that tomorrow she can go and tell the principal she's done something. So she starts writing the script. While she's doing that, she's halfway through it or done some of it, her son comes and she has to help him with his homework. So she helps him with his homework. Time for dinner, she makes the dinner. By now she's quite exhausted. So now after dinner, after clearing up, she feels, okay, now I've done so much, my whole day has been full, let me watch a bit of TV with the family, and then I will sit down and do my work for the school. While she's watching TV, she falls off to sleep because she's very tired. Now this is her routine. Let's analyze it, that what she had planned and what she achieved. Now what are the tasks done? What has she achieved? Morning, she made a breakfast, tick. She checked her son's homework, ticked. She packed lunch, even if there was a little hitch in it, she packed the lunch, tick. She got the stationery, tick. She helped her son with her homework, tick. She made her dinner, tick. There were 9 items in her to-do list. She managed to do 6 of them. Now, which are the 3 tasks she missed? She missed the corrections of the notebook that she was supposed to do. She missed making the question papers for the midterm, and she missed making the PPT for the next day. Now if you analyzed her to-do list and what she did and what she missed, what do you think was her priority in life? Her larger priority, was it her career or was it her family? Yes, you guessed right. Her priority in life is her family. She has done all the 6 tasks which pertain to her family, but she has not done 3 tasks which pertain to her school. So now where is the problem? The problem is her goal. If she is a career-oriented person, her top priority is making a career. She is never going to be happy because she is not going to make the kind of career she visualizes or dreams of. Somewhere down the line, her work will fall short of expectations of the school. Sometime in her life, she will not get the promotion she expects. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as she recognizes her priority. If she recognizes that family is her first priority, she's done perfectly fine. She'll never be unhappy about it. She'll never feel guilty about it. But if her priority is career, she will definitely be a frustrated person. So it depends on what we have set as our goal. That decides our priorities, and priorities decide our tasks. Wherever there's a mismatch, there is a problem. Now if she's taken up 2 tasks, she's in the job and she's looking after her family, what went wrong in her planning? What went wrong in her priority management, and how can she become a smart worker? Let us analyze these 3 things. Now in her daily schedule of things, what went wrong? 1. She did not check her son's homework the night before. Knowing that morning is a rush time, she should have checked the son's homework the night before. 2. She did not organize what was required for the morning's lunch. If she had checked, she would have planned better. 3. She did not say no to a task given which was at the cost of another priority task. When the principal told her to do a certain thing, she did not say no to it. She was obliged. She said yes to it, knowing that she had very important priority tasks lined up for the day. Next, the priority which was urgent. She failed to recognize the important and urgent task. The PPT was urgent for the class the next day, and that did not get made. It got shifted into the to-do list. Now, this urgent task, when she goes to class the next day, what is going to happen? She's going to cut a sorry figure. So, this is one task which she should have done on priority. Instead, what did she do? She wrote out the script to discuss with the principal the next day, which was important but not urgent. She failed to recognize what was urgent and what was important. Now the play is next month. She could have probably put that in the to-do list and then done her PPT first. But what happened was she was very obliged to the principal, wanted to please the principal, so this is where she went wrong. Now prepare questions for the midterm. Maybe it's not urgent today, but gradually she is pushing this task to the urgent category. Now considering we did the POSIT method, now just think about, give you a minute or two, just think on from these lines, how would you have done it any differently? How would you first plan, then manage your day as a teacher? So think about it in the couple of minutes that we have, and then we will get back. Now let's analyze. First, what would I do? I would plan the morning, school and after school separately. Now whenever you plan, in bits, you don't go wrong because you are mentally thinking of each little thing that can go wrong. Now when you make a general to-do list, it doesn't occur to you, like it didn't occur to her, there may not be any bread in the kitchen. So these kind of things should be micro planned. Then also provide a buffer. In case something goes wrong, you should have time to correct it. Now if she was putting her son's homework checking for the morning, she should have seen that there was a little time for it. Maybe get up half an hour early to provide for that buffer. Then she should have checked the homework and the rations before sleeping, which I would do. Now the next task of dropping the son to school. This is a task which can be done by somebody else. So she could have delegated the dropping of son or buying of stationery from the market. She could have delegated to somebody else. So that is what I would probably do. Then in school, probably I would let the principal know that this is my priority list, and in case I do this today, I would not be able to do something on my priority list. Now this is not being rude or anything, but if you let somebody know, then the person gives you either a little more time to do it or does not give you the task at all. But at least if she should have let the principal know and then see how it goes. Now shift the PPT presentation now early morning. If she has to shift this task to early morning, she has to get a full night's rest. Now on a stressful day like this, when she's already tired, I would have probably omitted the TV. Probably slept early, maybe if I was tired, but slept early so that I could get up early in the morning and finish the unfinished task. So you see, this is how day-to-day planning and priority setting helps you in your life. In the life of a teacher, it's very important because you're multitasking. You have to look after your home, your family, people around you, social commitments, and then be equally dedicated to school. And school teaching is a job that requires a lot of time and dedication. So unless we plan and organize, there's nothing that will happen right in our lives. So very important that we prioritize first, set our goals so that we're happy teachers. Whatever goals we set for ourselves, we at least are happy working towards that goal. It does not matter what our goals are or what values we hold. All of us, we should be aware of our values, our goals, and our priorities. So now, to wrap up, we'll just recap on the points that we've discussed. Habits that can help you manage time are: first, list your priorities clearly. Now, all of us, we are a little hesitant about writing down things. We think it's very bookish and, it's a waste of time. But no, writing down, it brings clarity into our mind. So it's very important to make notes. Have a to-do list, have, pin-ups on your board so that you know what you're supposed to do and you can organize yourself better. So first, for that, spend, on the weekends probably, or spend some time writing down your goals, your plans, and to-do lists, so that you day to day, when you're working from one thing to another, you know what is ticked off and what is not. So we prioritize tasks. Also take breaks in between. It's very important that we efficiency is getting the maximum output. How do we get maximum output? By making sure that we are physically capable of doing a task. So taking breaks relaxes us and rejuvenates us. So very important to keep these break times, and equally important to get out of these break times. Sometimes we take a break, okay, let me watch, let me check up my Facebook for a little while, and then we forget to come back. So it is eaten up your planning time, more than what you had planned, and everything then, cascades and goes into a tizzy. So that is why it's very important to plan your breaks, how much and when you're supposed to get back. Then learn to delegate. We must learn to delegate tasks which somebody else can do. You see, teachers are a very high value, high resource commodity. They are specialized in their task. Now, if we keep on doing tasks which are not our specialization, or which can be done by somebody on a much cheaper basis, whether it is time or whether it is money, then we are bringing inefficiency. Now, for example, I am a teacher. I have so much creative work to do. If I spend my time swabbing and cleaning, that is 1 or 2 hours of wasted effort for me, because for me, I am probably earning 1,000 rupees an hour. Why would I do a task which somebody else can do for probably 100 rupees an hour? So I learn to delegate. Now, people who want to do everything themselves land up doing nothing well at all. So delegating is very important. Similarly, in school, whatever you can, you should delegate. Bring in teamwork, share your work, so that effort divides and results multiply. Also very important is to assess frequently. If you're going to do a full job and then at the end of it assess whether you've done it right or no, you wasted a lot of time if you've not done it correctly. So at every step, go back, assess a little, and then go ahead. You are sure of your task, what you've done is well done. So these are some habits which are very important to develop, and you can manage your time and priorities right. Now this picture tells you perfectly, this is actually an activity which we do in class, but this picture tells you perfectly why prioritization is important. Now if you're given these whole bunch of balloons to keep in the air, would you be able to keep them in the air? No. But if you take these 3 balloons and you're told, okay, keep them in the air, it will be easy for you to do it. So if we prioritize our tasks, it is easy for us to achieve our goals. With this, we come to the end of the presentation, and I hope we all go back with something added to us. And when we work, tomorrow onwards, when we work on something, we have it somewhere at the back of our mind that it is, we should prioritize our time and our tasks to bring in efficiency into our lives. So thank you so much. I leave you with a thought. Make education your priority, since all of you are educators. So obviously education should be a priority in our lives. Thank you.